teaching them those things that I've taught you. But we don't really believe that. We're only interested in getting some people saved and going to heaven before the Antichrist takes over. God has a whole different agenda. He says, yes, the Antichrist is going to be manifested. It's going to be kind of messy. Here's what I want you to do. Take some nations, will you? I want some nations. Give me some nations. Because he was promised nations as his inheritance. But I promise you, Joshua and Caleb had a totally different brain than the rest of the nervous Jews. We were exactly where they were. They go over, they look, they do a survey, they say, whoo, boy. They come back, they say, let's go. Everyone else goes over and says, hey, look at the size of those giants. Oh my gosh, this is going to be bad. I don't think we can do it. Each person saw their condition projected through their perception. 2 were overcomers before they went in. Came out with a vision of what God wanted to do. 10 went in nervous, saw problems. They didn't see giants, they saw the projection of what was in them. Here's the reality. 10 out of 12 Christians are not going to accept what I just said. Because of this little pinky finger, you know what that is? There's apostles, there's prophets, there's evangelists, there's pastors, there's teachers, and that little finger is so dangerous, it gets into your ear and it messes up your capacity to hear. Just a messed up little thing. Teaching. Jesus said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of the Sadducees and the leaven of even Herod. Because everything you've heard up until now has not prepared you for what God is about to do. Everything you've been through has not prepared you for what God's about to do. Therefore, the best we can do is make sure that we're not under the influence of teaching that causes us to be watchers and commentators instead of participants in the greatest hour of history. All right. So we're going to take all of this and we're going to bring it down to something infinitely practical, which has to do with the heart, love. Remember, your focus is on total unconditional acceptance. Let's say T-U-A. Let's say T-U-A. Total unconditional acceptance. So if our focus is love, then our self-talk, 1,500 words a minute is how fast you talk to yourself. Our self-talk is going to have to be programmed to love people unconditionally, to let the Word of God, the thoughts of God, the thought process of God permeate us, saturate us. And then our body, our physiology, smiling, cyclonic muscles in the corner of your eyes, shaking a hand firmly, having your posture a certain way. See, I do executive coaching. I'll tell you something. It's amazing how people that succeed do certain things correctly, and people that don't succeed consistently do certain things wrong. And one of those things is your presence personally creates the atmosphere that conveys a message. And so it's just, I wish there was a way that I could cover enough material to help you realize this. Some of you actually need to have a complete makeover of how you go in and out of other people's worlds. Because you don't go in and out of other people's worlds in a way that invites them to disclosure and to being comfortable or to being impacted by your presence. You go in and out of people's worlds unconscious of it, of this fact. So you go in like this, and I'm just telling you, you're leaders. Therefore, the first client you've got is you. And you have to lead yourself into a whole new way of thinking and behaving so that favor can flow through you to do real exploits. How many of you have prophecies that haven't been fulfilled yet? That's good. Because that means that there's something God has for you that you haven't entered into yet. Can I suggest to you, you're not as far as you think you are from being able to do what God called you to do. But that it's going to require you to have an adjustment in your awareness of you, starting with the awareness of how you go in and out of other people's worlds. Because favor wants to create for you extraordinary opportunities to be an influence, to be promoted, to be a person with a solution to a problem. But to get there, you might have to start with understanding why environments are reacting to you the way they are. I paid $5,000 for a professional for 1 week to have him insult me to set me free. $5,000, and I'm at lunch the third day of this program. I'm thinking, I'm putting a lot of money in this program, and I was with these 3 other women in the program, and I'm not trying to be belittling. I was very arrogant at the time. I'm thinking, for this much money, I wish they would stop talking, because all they did was they're talking about their husbands and the problems, and I'm thinking, I'm paying a lot of money to get some keys from this professional. Everybody tells me how we can, these ideas will change your whole career path, and I want to be able to figure out, how does this stuff work? So around the third day, we're at dinner, and here I am, a Christian, but I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm getting my money's worth out of this program. So I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm getting my money's worth. My mind is focused on whether I'm getting what I want. This dear lady here is talking, and she's discussing a need, and I interrupt her the moment she draws breath. Because I figured she was nonstop anyway, so I might as well just grab any point. And I just kind of did a choo. We call it in driving, we call it the Rhode Island, we call it the rhino. You just put your nose out and go there. So, and I kind of, and I said, excuse me, just a second, just 1 second, real quick. Bill, when you're talking earlier about the blind spot, with the Johari window, the blind spot, I'm wondering, because that concept is very important about how blind spots operate. I'm managing what we call, at that moment, I'm manifesting a massive blind spot, meaning I'm doing something I don't even realize what I'm doing. And I'm trying to get this piece clarified. He looks at me, he says, Lance, you aware that Peggy was talking? I said, sorry, okay. I can wait. He said, no, wait a second. Are you aware that she was talking, and how the way that you're talking to me right now is really turning me off and doesn't make me want to talk to you at all? Now, what kind of self-talk am I having at this point? I'm paying $5,000 to have Mr. Charisma insult me? He says, as a matter of fact, I don't doubt that there's a whole lot of people in your world that you're trying to figure out in a program like this how to make more progress with. But you're turning them off just like you're turning me off. Then he turns and starts talking to Peggy. I got up, and I went to the men's room. And I remembered it was the lobster house. And I went by the tank with those red lobsters with the little band stuck in it. They look so tragic. I mean, I don't know why they do that to you. Those little guys are about to go to their execution. Oh, please, please. It's like, you're almost like telepathically saying, get me out of here. I'll do anything you want. And I thought, that's kind of, somehow it's a metaphor for my life. I'm tied up. I'm a prisoner, and I can't get out. And I go to the bathroom. I look at I'm as red as that lobster because of embarrassment and anger. Because I just got emasculated in front of these other people, and I'm paying $5,000 from a professional to insult me. But then I looked in the mirror, and I looked at myself. I thought, what if it's true? What if the way that I interact with people is so unconscious, so unaware, that I'm actually creating a dynamic I'm constantly trying to get God to bind the devil to prophesy me out of. And I'm creating the environment that I'm stuck in. And every new day that he gives me, I'm recreating the same pattern I had yesterday. Then it was an aha. I thought, I am the problem. I want to do well, but I'm not behaving right. So I go back to the table fairly chastened and humbled. I sit down, trying to figure this out. I forgave Bill, but Bill looks up and smiles at me. Because what he did was on purpose. Because for 3 days he was trying to tell me something I wasn't listening to, so he had to change the tactics. Remember what I told you? The future belongs to the flexible. He changed his method to get the student to listen. And so he said, Lance, how you doing? I said, well, I'm fine. He said, I want to talk to you for a minute. He said, and everybody leans in. He goes, Lance, he said, what was that question you had? Because it was a good question. I said, frankly, Bill, your answer was so much more profound than my question that I forgot the question and just stuck with the answer. He smiled. He said,